Now, when it comes to buying real estate in a northern Italian city, most people think of places like Milan, and Milan indeed is very popular amongst foreign buyers, but it's very, very expensive, with average property prices at 5,100 euros per square meter, or you can use dollar terms, the same, 5,100 US dollars per square meter. And even places like Venice are very, very expensive. I've done a video on Venice, and property prices here are very expensive as well. But not only Venice, even a city like Bologna, property prices in the center are around 4,000 euros per square meter. So I would not recommend these cities if you want to buy and live there, because it is very expensive. There are better cities to buy. And coming in at number 5 is Padova. Now, Padova, with a population of around 210,000, is in the Veneto region of Italy. It is a much underrated city, and it is home to the second oldest university in Italy, and has numerous villas and beautiful churches, including the extraordinary Basilica of Sant'Antonio. Now, it's also an art city, very famous for the frescoes by Giotto in the Scrovegni chapel. And in the main, it's a very friendly city, and many locals speak English. And we also should add, it's an extremely safe city. Now, Padova is also well connected. Its main railway station is one of the biggest in Italy, and over 20 million passengers a year use it. Now, the nearest airport is actually Marco Polo Airport in Venice, which is around 50 kilometers away. But you do have Treviso and Verona airports, which are not too far away as well. Now, what I also like is that property prices are very, very cheap, and we are talking under 2,000 euros per square meter. And even in the center, you are looking at around 2,400 euros per square meter. And these prices, especially in the city center, are also much cheaper than Verona. Now, coming in at number 4 is the city of Trieste. Now, with a population of about 205,000, Trieste is the capital of the Friuli Venezia Giulia region in northeast Italy. It has its own airport with flights to places like London, Brussels, Belgrade, Munich, Frankfurt, Valencia, Dusseldorf, Hanover and Malta. So quite an array of flights there. Its port is in a very strategic position, and its legal status as a free port makes it Italy's most important commercial port. Now, Trieste is a beautiful city with a lot of museums, and it has 2 great castles as well. And the architecture is actually a mix of Italian, Austrian and Eastern European, which makes Trieste all the more interesting and intriguing as well. And Trieste is generally quite a safe and friendly city, and enjoys a high standard of living, with average net salaries of around 1,600 euros a month. Now, property prices here are cheap. So we are looking at around 2,000 euros per square meter on average, or if you want to use dollars, just a bit more, 2,000 US dollars per square meter. And even in the city center, prices are on average only around 2,500 euros per square meter. So it's very, very reasonably priced. Now, the one downside I would say to Trieste is that the city is suffering a bit of a population decline, and that's never good for the property market. Now, coming out at number 3 is the beautiful city of Parma. Now, with a population of 195,000, Parma is a university city in the Emilia-Romagna region of Italy. Parma is a very wealthy city and regularly comes out as one of the best cities to live in Italy. And property prices are very cheap. We are talking on average around 2,050 euros per square meter. Moreover, though, prices in the city centre are only 2,400 euros per square metre. And that, for a city centre place in North Italy and a rich place, is very good. Now, Parma is famous also for its cheese and ham, but it also has numerous museums and churches worth seeing. And there's many multinationals which have a presence here, such as Accenture, Bain & Company, Microsoft, Deloitte and IBM. Now, although Parma has its own airport, there are very few flights. You're more likely to come in through Bologna Airport, which has a lot more flights. However, prices in the city centre of Bologna, as stated, are 4,000 euros per square metre compared to Parma's 2,400 euros per square metre. So there's a hell of a difference there. And that's why I think Parma is a better place to buy property and live. Now, coming in at number 2, and this is a beautiful city, and it's the city of Genova. Now, with a population of around 560,000, Genova is the capital of Liguria and has some amazing artworks, great museums, art galleries, and Genova's port, old port, is simply sumptuous. And there is a famous large historic centre in Genova, part of which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And you will also find some lovely villas here as well. And it has 2 major football clubs, namely Genoa and Sampdoria. Now, there are also numerous culinary delights across the city. And an added bonus of Genova is that in the surrounding areas you will find some very nice beaches. Now, Genova too it's got a metro system, and it's also got 2 main railway stations plus its own airport, which flies to destinations such as London, Dublin, Paris, Brussels, Amsterdam, Frankfurt, Barcelona, Vienna, Bucharest, and even Tirana. Now, the best thing about Genova are the prices, which are on average only, and I'll repeat, only 1,560 euros per square metre. This is incredibly cheap for Italy's 6th biggest city. And even in the core centre and the best parts of Genova, prices are on average well under 3,000 euros per square metre. And prices are very interesting here because they have dropped heavily. In March 2013, they were 2,420 euros per square metre on average, but they have dropped very heavily. So now could be a good time to buy. That said, there are 1 or 2 downsides to Genova. There is definitely a population decline, and unemployment is above the national average. Now, coming in at number 1, and I think this is such an amazing city, it's the city of Turin, or in Italian, Torino. Now, with a population of nearly 900,000, Turin is probably Italy's most underrated city. Well, it is, in my opinion. Turin has a great aerospace industry and auto industry, including the world famous Fiat. Above all, though, I think Turin is a beautiful city. It's got amazing Baroque architecture, a sumptuous royal palace, and many noteworthy museums. And education-wise, it has 2 famous universities, the University of Turin and the Polytechnic University. And it has 2 big football clubs. I'm sure all of you will know Juventus, but there is also Torino here, which is more popular amongst the locals. Now, many people describe Turin as big enough to have everything you need, but small enough to be manageable, and I would agree with that. And there is also a metro system in the city, so you can get by with a metro, and it is also on a high-speed rail line, which easily connects it to both Venice and Naples. Now, Turin too also has its own airport, where you can fly to numerous cities in Europe, plus Tel Aviv in Israel and 4 Moroccan cities. Now, for such a major city, prices are very cheap. We are talking less than €2,000 per square meter on average. And in the city centre, you can pick up some amazing property for just over €3,000 per square meter. Now, I think for all these reasons, Turin for me is the most underrated city in Italy, but I think property wise and to live in, you can buy a very beautiful property here and have a good life in Turin, especially, for example, if you are one of those that are very flexible and can live anywhere in the world. And as I say, for all these reasons, I put Turin as my #1 city in the North Italy to buy property. Anyway, that's it for today. Thanks ever so much for watching this video, and I shall see you soon on the next.